Hi there, thanks for tuning in. In this segment of Container digiTalks, we wanted to get some insight on the COVID-19 crisis from the perspective of a BCO. So we reached out to Siva Narayanan, Head of Global Logistics for Solvay Technology Solutions, to get his input. So let's talk about recovery through digital collaboration. All right, thank you for joining. Today we have Siva Narayanan, Director of Global Logistics at Solvay Technology Solutions. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. So if you wouldn't mind to start off just explaining a bit about what Solvay is and what you do there.
Solvay is a global specialty chemical company. We're involved in every part of chemistry, from the basic raw materials right up to the sophisticated composite materials that we have. We are in different parts of your day-to-day use. We are in your home and personal care. We are in your medical supplies. We are in the mining solutions, the polymers, just to name a few, in your tires, silica, just to name a few. So we are there wherever you're present. We are roughly about a $12 billion company, or maybe a 10 billion euro company, roughly. Don't quote me on this one because it's just rough math. So we're a specialty chemical company. That's Solvay, and we're in all different zones of the world, as we call it, in Asia Pacific, EMEA, North America, Latin America, and in different parts of the world. And we're about 150, 60 years old, maybe more. So it all started with Ernest Solvay in Belgium.
Okay, and you're calling in from New Jersey, right?
Yes, I'm calling from New Jersey. Yes, I'm in Princeton, New Jersey.
Okay, and so at Solvay, what is your responsibility? You're the Director of Global Logistics, so.
Yes, I am the Director of Global Logistics for our Technology Solutions business unit. Our Technology Solutions business unit has 3 sub-business units. We have mining chemicals, or rather we call it mining services. We have polymer additives, and we also have phosphorus specialties. I know these are mouthfuls, right? But these are basically the industries that we operate in, the 3 different business units. As you can see, they are very diverse. They have very different challenges as far as logistics are concerned. Some are more geared towards specialty and retail. Some, when it goes to mining, it goes to the weirdest parts of the world. I mean, we operate or we supply to places like in the Congo or in sub-Saharan Africa, in Chile, into Kazakhstan, and places where I don't think you're planning your next holiday.
All right. So then you've got all of these places all over the world, and in these current times we're dealing with the COVID-19, and it's different challenges in different places all over the world. So, like for example, blank sailings, are these impacting your operations, whether directly or indirectly?
Yeah, these do impact our operations, both directly and indirectly, sailings wise, because we plan way in advance for our customers. I mean, we have long lead times because of the place, our production versus where we have to deliver these products to. And a lot of these products are made to order. So we do get the orders, say 120, 90 days in advance, and then we production plan it. We do keep some stock, of course, but again, depending on the customers, we try to keep the working capital low, so we keep it made to order. So with these sailings being disrupted, with canceled sailings, with blank sailings, ships taking on extra ports because of blank sailings, and so they have different schedules, the transit times are being different. It is quite a bit of a struggle. I won't say struggle, it's a bit of a juggling act to make sure that we're able to meet the customer needs based on what sailings that we can get out there. So the word out there is that we have to be agile. We have to be on our feet and be quick with solutions and start thinking how best we can navigate through these uncharted waters and uncharted times.
All right. So in these uncharted and rough waters, are you experiencing like higher charges, like whether like demurrage and detention due to the port congestion or chassis charges?
We are expecting some disruption and some variation in charges. I wouldn't say they to be higher because
Mhm.
again, a lot of the maritime charges, as you know, are as much as they would like it to be actuals, they are market driven.
Mhm.
If, for example, you have the, say, excess of truck capacity, then the trucker may not want to charge you the chassis charge because he wants to use his assets,
Mhm.
right? So the same thing with the steamship lines, again, depending if there's excess capacity, then at that point you will have as a shipper, it might be a shipper's turn to negotiate to get better terms in terms of reduction in detention and demurrage. Then again, I mean, detention and demurrage in my mind is a punitive charge,
Mhm.
right? It is to create some kind of discipline on the shipper side to say that, hey, don't hold on to my equipment because the equipment is a working capital for the service provider. So it's
Mhm.
a punitive charge. So the shipper has to take that in context and say, hey, I don't want to hold on to your assets because I need the product. For us, the product costs more than the detention and the demurrage. So we want to
Mhm.
get our products turned around much quicker. That's our aim. Our aim is not to hold on to somebody else's chassis or containers.
Right. Yeah, it makes sense. Makes total sense. So, in this case, then, is there anything that freight forwarders could or shipping lines could do then to make the life of a BCO a bit easier or more certain?
Well, we're in the business of selling chemicals, right?
Mhm.
So we're not in the business of doing what the freight forwarders do. I mean, although I could, and I'm a logistician, right? So basically, that's my core competency. But I belong to an organization that sells chemicals, and my job is to facilitate the movement of chemicals.
Mhm.
So basically, what we would like to see freight forwarders and shipping lines is to make the process of shipments simple,
Mhm.
right? Because you don't want to have more complexity in a sub process of selling chemicals, right? As it is, the chemical manufacturing process is already complicated.
Mhm.
You don't need to overcomplicate it with logistics. So what is very important is to keep the process of logistics or the activity, the transactions of logistics as simple as possible. Because simplicity creates value. And the converse is also true, complexity destroys value.
Mhm.
So the thing here is, to your question, what could freight forwarders and shipping lines do? So the immediate thing that comes to my mind is they should make things simple. If I can book an airline ticket, well, not now because I'm not booking now, but if I can book an airline ticket with the click of a mouse and click, 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 I have my seat, I have everything else. Why can't I not do it in the shipping process?
Mhm.
Um, I think we're getting there. I think we're getting there. I mean, we've got a long way to go, but I think where we were many years ago to where we are now, I think we've made some improvements and we're getting there.
Mhm.
Again, I think it's also because we have too many handoffs. We have, maybe it's a complexity of the business, which should look to simplify.
Mhm.
We have too many handoffs. We have containers, we have truckers, we have freight forwarders, we have terminals, we have ships, we have consortiums, we have DG cargo, non-DG cargo, and so on and so forth. But in the end of the day, as a retail or as a consumer yourself,
Mhm.
looking at the sweater you're wearing, you're buying it from Macy's, you don't ask, what is the bunker factor on my sweater like, right? You don't.
No.
So in the end of the day, we have to understand what is it that the end customer really cares? What does it really want to see?
Mhm.
And how do we tailor make our logistics process to meet the end customer's needs?
Yeah, I've never asked any of those types of questions while picking out a sweater at Macy's.
Right. And I'll say, what is the cost of the fuel on this sweater? Versus the other one. Do the retailer really, I mean, do the consumer really care? Right? That's the question. And if
No,
the
I think.
consumer doesn't care, then how do we make it easy for the consumer? That's my point.
Mhm. So the thing with like you said, with booking an airline ticket, like these are all digital solutions, right? So before you used to have to call a travel agent, then they used to have to pick out airline ticket for you, and now you can do it with the click of a button on the World Wide Web. And so are you envisioning a whole digital solution, the whole logistics industry collaborating on one sort of like digital platform? Or?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like I said, I think we're getting there. We're not there yet. We're getting there. There's still a lot of disparate platforms. It's like anything else. Everybody is pitching their own platform, and then we see what survives. On the old days, you had the Sony Beta versus a VHS on your cassette tapes, right? And now nobody even talks about cassette tapes. But so because it's all delivered through one platform, one kind of a system, right? With this MP3, MP4, whatever it may be. But you will have competing platforms out there, and then eventually one will survive, or one will take precedence. I think today we have many competing platforms out there. It has to play out by itself. But the key here is we should not be parochial and say, hey, use my platform, otherwise you can't get access to my assets. I think that is a very negative way of looking at it. The way to look at it is you should embrace all platforms and then let the best one win, and then see what serves the consumer the best. So we are almost there with the platforms. I think we can do it with a click, but the complexity with DG, etc., it's a little bit more challenging. The reason I say with DG is challenging because on the background, you also have safety, you also have HSNE, health and safety out there. You also have insurance to worry about. Ship owners insure the vessels for some things, and then the charterers want to carry something else. So you have a lot of other behind the scene players in the industry that has to come to terms to say, what is it we're trying to do? Can we ease the complexity that we have?
All right. So in light of the current situation with the COVID-19, it seems that we are sort of reaching for digital platforms and digital solutions in our everyday operations. So even right now, we're utilizing a Zoom call when we could just do an in-person interview. Do you think that this situation will accelerate the use of digital technologies within the logistics sector?
Right. I'll take your question in two parts.
Okay.
In two parts. First is, yes, will this accelerate the digital platforms in the logistics sector? The answer is yes. Answer is yes, because we're all working from home and everything is digital. I'm talking to you through digital. I'm interacting with my colleagues through digital. I'm able to sign in, sign out, look at my inventory, etc., through digital and so on. So yeah, this will accelerate the use of digitization. Again, it will also bring into question what else we need to do with digitization. For example, we need to increase the bandwidth. A lot of people are now using it. So do we have the bandwidth to do this if everybody starts doing this? Second thing is, what is the security, right? I mean, in the last 4 days, we've seen the MSC website's gone down, right? And so what is the security with digitization? So we need to talk about some of the enhancements or some of the improvements that or rather some of the problems that digitization will come forward. Taking your question in a different angle, but like I said, I'll address it in two parts. With COVID-19, the actual day-to-day operation we're not thinking about digitization. We're taking digitization for granted, right? We're saying this is the way we're going to do it. With COVID-19, we're thinking of how can we address this health crisis from becoming an overblown economic crisis, right? So that is what we're looking at from COVID-19 standpoint. And that's where logistics comes to play a part in this, where logistics will have to avoid becoming, not to avoid, logistics has to dampen it from becoming an economic crisis. So how can we deal with the hand that we're dealt, right? And then make the best out of it. And logistics is the enabler of that. Logistics is going to help flatten the economic crisis curve, to use a pun, if I may.
Yeah, that's what we're all about these days, right? Flattening the curve in any way that we can.
Yes. So I can use that in logistics too. So we don't want it to spike. We want the curve. We don't want the how do I put it? We don't want to have the surprises that logistics can help dampen down.
So then, taking all of that into consideration to flatten this this economic curve, what do you think that will take from the logistics members for that, to be flattened as smoothly as possible?
Well, it'll take a couple of things. I think we have to take each player in the logistics arena has to take a different view on how they want to engage this crisis, right? One, like I said earlier on, this is a health crisis. This is a social crisis. This is a human crisis, right? So firstly, we're looking at the preservation of the human race. That's important, the human resource, right? It is a resource. So if we don't have the human resource preserved, then it's pointless because we're not going to put other things in place because we won't have human resource to play, or rather to enable in whatever else we were trying to do downstream. So we have to all look at it from that angle and say, what can we do to preserve the human resource? And if we have to take it in the shorts a little bit, then we take it in the shorts and help each other to take care of that part of the problem, right? Then we have to go to our war chest. Each one of us have a war chest, hopefully, right? Have a war chest. We built up war chest over the years. It's prudent business if you have built up war chest. If you haven't, then it's not too late to start to building up your war chest. I have to look at it and say, how deep can you dig into your war chest and how long can you last? And then put in transactional, operational fixes through the crises to say, how can I weather the storm? Now, with every crisis like this, the third thing, it comes opportunity, right? The opportunity is how are you going to come out in the end of the tunnel? How are you going to come out ramping up when all this is over? And this will be over, right? So the question is, this is the time to retool. This is the time to redesign. This is the time to go to your war chest and say, what can I do to be ready and up and running when all this is over? So we should start looking and planning ahead. We should look at our finance. We should have a kind of a recovery plan, right? A recovery plan is made up of your finances, is made up of your staging of your supply chain. What comes first, right? When you recover, everybody wants to get out of the gate and run. It gets too crowded. So what comes first? What comes second? So logistics companies, logistics providers can collaborate and say, hey, when the recovery comes, we need to move the raw materials first so that we can get retail up and running. If everybody wants to move out at the same time, then we sub-optimize the already, what do you call, battered chain, right? So that's trying to come back again. So let's not overwhelm the battered chain with a, what do you call, congested recovery. You get the point?
Yeah, definitely.
Yes. So that's my thing about the two-part answer for you.
Okay, great, thanks. So then we really do need like a global collaboration to make sure that we get out of this as smoothly and as organized as possible.
Right, absolutely. It has to be a orderly return. It cannot be a kind of a you switch on the switch and then everything comes on, right? No, that's not the way it's going to happen. Because remember, you got to have people, right? You got to have people who are ready to work and who are going to come back to work. And people will only come back to work when they feel comfortable to come back to work. Right. People have families, people have communities. They need to make sure that they look after the communities, they look after their families, they look after the kids are able to go to school before they can come to work. So we have to have an orderly design, and logistics plays a part in this, right? We have to have an orderly design. We can't have all the trucks showing up at the terminal and then you get the terminal congested, you get traffic jams on the road and so on and so forth. So you need to have an orderly design, and how do we get back into business again? And it can change globally between different countries, how they come back. I mean, again, each country is different. Some countries are ready to come back, some are not ready to come back. We can take a page from China when they came back, right? They basically slowly eased up each region, each highway, each off-ramp to say, when can you get off this off-ramp to get into the city, right? So I'm not saying that we have to follow everything that China has done, because again, it's unique to their location, unique to their situation. But we can take a phased approach to bring normalcy back again. And again, the new norm may not be the old norm, but I'm saying normal in the sense what normalcy can be.
Back to the flow of goods getting to where they need to go in a timely manner, right?
Exactly.
All right, awesome. Well, thank you so much for the insights, and really appreciate you taking the time to discuss this with me.
Sure.
So yeah, thanks.
Okay, thank you very much, and stay safe and stay healthy. That's most important, so that you will be ready for the recovery. Bye-bye.
And for you as well. Bye-bye.